humans! Welcome to Read to Me, Matt Dunn. I'm Matt Dunn, and I'm going to read to you. I never know where to put my stylus. I think I should just have a stand for my stylus. Like, this here, I could do that. That'd be cool. Get a little That's another time. Right now, we're reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Ooh, lordy, we are on, just as I suspected, chapter 15. Part 1, of course, because these chapters are quite long, which is good. Chapters need to have length and girth. Chapters need to be full of something, am I right? Prematurely. Anyway, let's begin. Chapter 15. Cursed creator. Why did I live? Why? In that instant, did I not extinguish the spark of existence which you had so wantonly bestowed? I know not, despair had not yet taken possession of me. My feelings were those of rage and revenge. I could, with pleasure, have destroyed the cottage and its inhabitants, and have glutted myself with their shrieks of misery. When night came, I quitted my retreat and wandered in the wood, and now, no longer restrained by the fear of discovery, I gave vent to my anguish in fearful howlings. So, like, get this. I know. Come back now. This guy is like, I just want to be loved, my last chance to get things, and then he tried, and then he just got beat the fuck out of the building. He had to leave, and he's like tried everything, and you know, for a year or plus, he's done this, and then he just got thrown away, so everyone hates him. He's a loser. He's a nobody. He's ugly. He's got twisted skin face. What else is he gonna do but go and run in the woods and start howling? That's what I'd be, I'm sure. I was like a wild beast that had broken the toils, destroying the objects that obstructed me and ranging through the wood with a stag-like swiftness. Oh, what a miserable night I passed. The cold stars shone in mockery, those fucking shits. And the bare trees waved their branches above me. They're just like, and now, and then the sweet voice of bird burst forth amidst the universal stillness. All, save I, were at rest or in enjoyment. I, like the arch friend, bore a hell within me, and finding myself unsympathetic with, wished to tear up the trees, spread havoc and destruction around me, and then to have sat down and enjoyed the ruin. But this was a luxury of sensation that could not endure. I became fatigued with excess of bodily exertion and sank on the damp grass in the sick impotence of despair. And sank on the damp grass. Wow. Did I do that? Wow. There was none among the myriads of men that existed who would pity or assist me. And should I feel kindness towards my enemies? No. From that moment I declared everlasting war against the species, and more than all, against him who had formed me, sent me forth to this insupportable misery. He's like staring Frankenstein right in the eyes. He's like, the guy who created me, I fucking am going to kill. And then Frankenstein's like, go on with your story, please. Awkward, right? The sun rose. I heard the voices of men and knew that it was impossible to return to my retreat during that day. Accordingly, I hid myself in some thick underwood, determining to devote the ensuing hours to reflection on my situation. Good call. It's always good to think before you act. You know, shit goes down. Not good. Not good. The pleasant sunshine and the pure air of day restored me to some degree of tranquility, and when I considered what had passed at the cottage, I could not help believing that I had been too hasty in my conclusions. I had certainly acted imprudently, and it was apparent that my conversation had interested the father in my behalf, and I was a fool in having exposed my person to the horror of his children. Jeepers creepers today. Lose my... I ought to have familiarized the old DeLacy to me, and by degree have discovered myself to the rest of his family, when they should have been prepared for my approach. But I did not believe my errors to be irretrievable, and after much consideration, I resolved to return to the cottage, seek the old man, and by my representations win him to my party. Mary Shelley, everybody. You think she's like a spirit is bestowed upon the image, all images? You know, like they say, if you take an image of somebody and it's like part of their fraction of a soul is in it. So imagine Mary Shelley is watching down on me and down on you while I'm reading this. So just be on your best behavior. Keep your hands out of your pants. These thoughts calmed me, and in the afternoon I sank into a profound sleep, but the fever of my blood did not allow me to be visited by peaceful dreams. The horrible scene of the preceding day was forever acting before my eyes. The females were flying, and the enraged Felix tearing me. Got to get the rest of it, because, you know, you never know. It could be tearing. The enraged Felix tearing me from his father's feet. I awoke exhausted, and finding that it was already night, I crept forth from my hiding place and went in search of food. Yum-yums. When my hunger was appeased, I directed my steps toward the well-known path that conducted to the cottage. All there was at peace. All there was at peace. See, that's it. I crept into my hovel. Like, how is there nobody? Is it like under the house? Like, nobody's like, there's a giant shack that someone is living in somewhere. Why have we not discovered this fucking extra room? We could have a fucking foyer. Blah, blah, blah. I crept into my hovel and remained in silence, expectations of the accustomed hour when the family arose. That hour passed. The sun mounted high in the heavens, but the cottagers did not appear. I trembled violently, apprehending some dreadful misfortune. The inside of the cottage was dark, and I heard no motion. I cannot describe the agony of this suspense. God damn it! I said... It's suspense. Suspense. Dispense is not even... Dispensary. Dispense. To dispense. Fucking shit. Presently, 2 countrymen passed by, but, pausing near the cottage, they entered into conversation, using violent gesticulations. Violent gesticulations. Gestures. Violent gestures. But I did not understand what they said. They're like, broke. Fuck you. He's like, I don't know what they're doing. Violent. But I did not understand what they said, as they spoke the language of the country, which differed from that of my protectors. Soon after, however, Felix approached with another man. Felix, how could you? I was surprised, as I knew that he had not quitted the cottage that morning, and waited anxiously to discover from his discourse the meaning of these unusual appearances. Unusual. Do you consider, said his companion to him, that you will be obliged to pay 3 months' rent, and to lose the produce of your garden? I do not wish to take any unfair advantage, and I beg therefore that you will take some days to consider of your determination. It is utterly useless, replied Felix. We can never again inhabit your cottage. The life of my father is in the greatest danger, owing to the dreadful circumstance that I have related. My wife and sister will never recover their horrors. I entreat you not to reason with me any more. Fucker. Take possession of your tenement and let me fly from this place like a bee. Felix trembled violently as he said this, and his companion entered the cottage, in which they remained for a few minutes, and then they departed. They was gone. There really wasn't much there, right? It was just a shitty cottage with a hole in the wall, with some weird extra space behind him, or wherever he was. What is this? You might know what a hovel is, but me, non-hovel life, I have never even seen a hovel. I don't know what a hovel is. I only know hovel. Okay, so I never saw any of the family of DeLacy Moore. I never saw any of the family of DeLacy Moore. I never saw any of the family Moore. Whatever. He never saw them again, probably ever. I continued for the remainder of the day in my hovel, in the state of utter and stupid despair. But my protectors had departed and had broken the only link that held me to the world. For the first time, the feelings of revenge and hatred filled my bosom. And I did not strive to control them, but allowing myself to be borne away by the stream. The stream. I bent my mind towards injury and death when I thought of my friends, of the mild voice of DeLacy, the gentle eyes of Agatha, and the exquisite beauty of the Arabian. These thoughts vanished, and a gush of tears somewhat soothed me. But again, when I reflected that they had spurned and deserted me, anger returned, a rage of anger. And unable to injure anything human, I turned my fury towards inanimate objects. Typical, right? You just can't fucking hit a person. You just want to be like, oh, I'm gonna punch you in the wall. Gah. I'm gonna punch you in the face. I mean the glass. And you're like, fucking wood. Fucking window. You just fucking... And then... Alright, okay. I got the flow wrong. As night advanced, I placed a variety of combustibles around the cottage. And, after having destroyed every vestige of cultivation in the garden, I waited with forced impatience until the moon had sunk to commence my operations. Ooh. Well, that's the end of part 1. I had to re-record a half part, if you noticed, kind of glitchy in the middle. My video stopped. So, if you wish for me to keep recording and reading, then please check out some more of my videos. Give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And then write some comments down below. And I promise we'll be friends. Because we already are. Friends. Friends.